it did it. I love it. Okay, now I can relax. Oh, my back hurts so bad right now. It hurts. It hurts. And then you want to cow it? Oh my God. Want to do everything? There you go. There you go. Great. Come on, please.
Oh, phew.
Hi, Lynette.
Good evening. How's everybody?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well.
Nice.
Hey, Jen. Jen. I'll try again in a minute.
She'll come back.
I'm sorry. Were you saying something to me, Lynette? I'm sorry.
I wasn't. Mary was trying to get your attention.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mary.
She said she'd try back in a minute.
Okay.
I'm here.
Sorry.
So no,
Hey.
Jen. So
Yeah.
hey, does Steve have a key? He's got a key to our office door, right?
I think I gave him both keys.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Is he trying to get a hold of you?
No, but if he didn't have one to the outside door, I was gonna run back up there after the meeting and lock stuff up if he couldn't.
Oh, okay. I can text him.
That's all right. I'll text him here in a little bit. I mean, after the meeting or whatever, but
Okay. I'm running the meeting from home tonight, Lynette.
I figured that out.
Yeah. I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
We did a test with the DRC last week and it worked remotely.
How nice.
So yeah, it's kind of nice. I don't have to wait around an extra hour, for the meeting to start. And
right.
Yeah, everybody else is doing it remote. So I figure I should try and do it too.
Well, yes. Take advantage of the technology.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Diane.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How about you?
Finally getting over that cold that I've been fighting for about 200 years. I mean, literally the last time we had a meeting, it was just coming on.
Oh,
So I'd be very glad it's going away.
yep.
Got my Santa hat.
I see that. I have my flag.
Yay! Both of them are red and white. That's cool. We got
There you
some
go.
kind of memo thing going here. I read through everything when I first got it, but my retention is like a goldfish. This stupid cold just takes everything.
Yep.
How often are we approached with wanting a new liquor license? I've seen lots of approvals of already existing ones, but I think this might be the first one I've seen where it was going from the ground up, you know.
Not very often.
Yeah,
Most of the restaurants are established and
yeah.
already have that in place. I can remember back many, many, many years ago when the Happy Cooker didn't sell wine.
Yeah,
Long time ago.
the previous ownerness long time ago,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
I have a question too. I don't know if it's germane to wait until the subject comes up or to ask you, but do we, on the ordinance we're talking about tonight about the refuse containers and people dumping household trash in it, do we need to specify a remedy? You know, say if it's a fine or days in
That's
jail
part,
or,
we would talk about that during discussion. So,
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Cause
hold that thought.
yeah, I actually called the transfer station to find out, you know, how much they charge for a bag of trash. And of
Mhm.
course, that doesn't help if somebody doesn't have a car or a way to get it there, but I would think if they were
There are
really,
ways,
it
there are ways
wasn't-
to do it.
yeah,
So
you
let's
could,
just hold the discussion.
okay, cool beans.
I didn't bring my Santa hat, so you're just gonna have to look at my name. And Deanne, you gotta tilt your head a little bit to the left so that it looks like it's actually on you. There
your
you
head.
go.
There you
There
go.
I actually thought about wearing it and then I thought, nah, that's a little too out there, but it can be a decoration to hang in the back, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Hi there, Rich.
Hi, guys.
Hey, neighbor. I'm getting ready for the hurricane strength winds and power down tomorrow, so I'm already, I've gone, dark.
I found pieces of that guy that was working on his building a camper. It was against the side of my garage. Lucky it didn't hit the car windows.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And
You're lucky.
did you see the guy that he chopped a hole in the ice that runs and jumps in the lake every day?
Oh, that's down by your house,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, really?
yeah. Today he used the axe and he totally immerses himself in the lake.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, I'm not shooting any video. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
please,
that.
yeah, we don't want to see that.
Uh-uh. I got 3 field trips out right now with 60 kids. Actually, more than that. There's a Thunder Christmas party with the horse from the Broncos. There's 300 Boys and Girls Club kids. I have 15 at the stadium. Then on the other side of the stadium, Justin Simmons, the safety, is having a big banquet and he's honoring 2 of my teens with service awards. So I got
Wonderful.
some teens there, and then 50 kids are shopping with Kareem Jackson at Walmart. They get to spend $100.
Cool.
What's nuts is I still have 100 kids here. Yeah, I don't get to go to the party. But it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I stuffed my Honda full of toys and dropped it off with I think Joe and Vi were taking it to Laura, who used to run the rec center for kids up in Clear Creek. And then we adopted a couple of families and bringing stuff down for them on Sunday.
Wonderful.
So if any of you know kids that need toys, just let me know. Just send me age and gender and I have stuff.
Okay.
The Santa shop with the sheriff's office, I think they do theirs next weekend. Have you teamed up or talked to them at all, Diane Lee?
I have not. I used to bring stuff to Laura when she's at the rec center, and she works for, I don't know, it's some emergency management thing. I don't know what it is. Last year they just asked for gift cards and stuff. I can't do that, but I can always get toys.
Yeah.
So it's the sheriff's department. I'll give them a holler. Maybe
Yeah,
we can- some of those
I'll send you
Empire
an
kids.
email, both of you guys, with your contact info, and maybe you guys can link up and support each other.
Yeah,
There you
that's the easy one. We're doing the police department and a housing projects next Saturday night. That's real close to the club.
Okay.
Deanne. Nice hat. I should have worn my Christmas tie, Lost my chance.
I want to go for the Grinch.
Oh,
Jerry-
no.
So
Oh, I
Jerry,
wouldn't do that.
Jerry, I just got off the phone with the individual I sent that email to this afternoon, and he vehemently disagrees with my opinion. So, and he says beforehand that you had already sanctioned it anyway. So I'll extend the information to you so that you can look at it again.
Okay.
He just doesn't understand why you can't, and he's indicating now that a little easement's now a public or a private roadway, which is interesting, but Anyway,
Okay,
Okay.
I did my chore.
thanks.
You bet. Happy to
I
help.
remember when I saw his name, I remember he had been in, oh gosh, it's 4 years ago at least.
Yeah, he said he
Um,
talked to both Tom and to Kent and was told that he had carte blanche to go do what he wanted to do. And
Yeah,
title companies told him the same thing, and the realtor and the seller and everybody. So,
well, I'd love to see the title policy that says that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we've got a full house. I'm just waiting for the clock to turn over 6 o'clock and we'll get going.
Yeah, I've got an item I want to bring up, or a couple of items I wanted to bring up. Do I wait until after the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please. Let's wait until agenda approval. Okay. It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. And I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown to order. If everybody, I've got a flag in the background here. Let's all join in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell,
Here.
Deanne Powell,
Here.
John Jennings,
Here.
Paul Hingen,
Here.
and Mary Smith,
Here.
and Rich Barrows.
Here.
Wonderful. Agenda approval. Who would like to add things to the agenda?
That's you, Rob.
I would. Funny you should ask. I just wondering if it would be useful, and I didn't know if all the trucks that we have, some of them don't have logos, and I wondered if it would be a good idea to get those kind of magnetic signs and just smack them on the doors.
Okay.
The other thing too is our road and bridge superintendent has a medical condition, and there are no rooms at the shop, at the road and bridge shop.
There are no what?
There's no bathroom at the road and bridge,
Okay.
the station. So if we're going to make a new one, which I believe wasn't that in the works?
Well, no, it wasn't. There was no bathroom included in that new shop building
Shouldn't there
that
be?
I recall. It was for storage of equipment and vehicles and all that, but I don't recall any bathroom being incorporated into that design, but
Could there be?
I don't know. I'll have to look at that and see. I'm like Lynette. I think it was just they were going to do the slab, and then it was just a metal building and more for storage and garage. But I'll look at it again because we haven't poured the slab. We're still trying to get some prices for it. So
And I'm
Yeah.
just
it'd
thinking,
be a perfect time if you're going to do it.
right. I just wondered, sorry to be a Johnny come lately on this, but I mean, it was just brought to my attention not too long ago, and I thought I might want to mention it.
Okay.
sure.
I appreciate you bringing it up.
May
Sure.
I say something? It's Mary.
Yes, Mary. Mary Sims.
Yes, there's a porta potty up there. There is no sewer up there. That is why there's no bathroom up there. But
You
there
can have
is
an
a,
on-site septic system up there, because when it Potties of the Rockies is right next door, isn't it?
I believe that you cannot have a septic system in town limits, so.
If it depends if
It-
how close the public sewer is. If it's over 300 and some feet, then you could probably still do it.
Well, let's look at the larger issue in full scope.
Yep.
We'll put it on under staff items. I've got it down as road and bridge issues. And let's get the full list so that we've got a nice comprehensive list.
She's breaking up. She's breaking up.
Not
So-
even 7 o'clock yet.
Mine keeps freezing too. I don't know what's going on.
That people can do their homework. So anything else to add? I am. Huh. The wind. If not, who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? It's just let's all be ready to unmute for the vote. I'll try and pause so that everybody's got a chance to unmute for the vote, but it's better if everybody actually says aye for the record. So we'll work on that. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Do we have anyone here under audience business?
No, we don't.
Thanks so much. Okay, next we have the payables. They are the payables from November 19th through December 9th, 2021. Any comments or questions on the payables?
I had some questions.
Okay, fire away, John.
We bought another liner for the ice rink. Is it because the other one just gave up?
Well, I have been told they're only good for about 1 or 2 seasons,
Okay,
and then the liner has to be replaced.
that's fine. There was a sprinkler inspection under fire station maintenance. Where do we have sprinklers?
At Old Missouri, at the museum.
Oh, okay.
Museums at the Alpine Hose.
Oh, sorry, not Old Missouri, Alpine Hose.
Okay,
Okay.
Corrected, sorry.
And I had on the sludge removal, we had something called a Z tag. That's a new one for me.
It's a chemical that we get probably 2 or 3 times a year
Okay,
that they mix in with the sludge, how
perfect.
I understand.
Awesome,
Okay.
thank you.
okay. Deanne, you had a question?
Yeah, as long as we're asking about what things are over under Town Promotion Commission Fund, it says turtle and power cord.
Yeah.
This is on what, page 3?
That is the outlet that runs from the side of Town Hall out to the street, so it would enable them to put tents down in front of Town Hall
Okay.
with
I just
electricity.
had never heard turtle in connection with electricity and I wondered what it was.
Okay, Any
I have
other
another
questions?
Mini one. Over on page 2, close to the bottom, it says rental boom truck. I thought we bought a boom
They-
truck.
They need a larger boom truck to do the one tree at the end of the street.
And it looks really nice too, guys.
It
That's
does.
pretty. It looks professional rather than somebody's own private lot, which I know it is, Looks good.
so, yep. Any other questions about the payables? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the payables as presented?
I can make a motion to approve the payables from 11/19/2021 to 12/9/2021.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payables from November 19th to December 9th, 2021. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have to oppose it because there's something in here supporting Strauss Park being destroyed.
Okay. Minutes. The minutes that we have before us are from our last meeting, which was on November 23rd, 2021. Any comments, corrections?
I have just one correction. This is Mary,
Yes.
the woman in dark. Just on page 2, under the Georgetown Liquor License Authority for Slaymaker Sellers, I recuse myself from that vote.
Okay.
Okay, I'll add that in there.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I thought I had that in there. Okay.
Didn't see it. Okay. Any other corrections, additions? Yes, Deanne?
This is just typing or grammar or something. Under roll call, it's got the 4 of us that were there, and then there's a comma and says Rich and Paul weren't at that meeting. It should be a period because it's hard to tell who was and wasn't there without it.
Yeah, I see that. That was a
Yeah.
typo. I meant to put a period. Thanks for pointing it out.
Anything else? Who'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the November 23rd, 2021 regular meeting as corrected?
I would.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the November 23rd, 2021 regular meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. And on to new and unfinished business. First item before us is the Georgetown Liquor License Authority for a liquor license for Mountain Mamas, and Diane Menz is here. Thank you for joining us. Get to that page.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Who wants to start us off on this? Would it be Jen? Would it be Jerry? Thanks, Jerry.
If you just open the hearing as the liquor authority,
Okay.
and then we can certainly hear from Jen and Ms. Menz. Menz is the right pronunciation?
Menz.
Menz, thank you.
Mhm.
And I will have the standard couple of questions to establish on the record that there's a need and desire for a new liquor license that I'll ask Ms. Menz. There's no particular magic answer to that, Ms. Menz. I don't want to scare you about that, but I'm just letting you know I'll have those questions. But I can do that after we've heard from the applicant and the staff. Thanks.
Okay. So we are now convening as the Liquor License Authority. I don't know if you need to note the time, but it's 6:13 p.m. And let's start off with Jennifer, the town clerk.
Okay, the town received a liquor license application from Mountain Mamas LLC for 710 6th Street in Georgetown, Colorado for a hotel and restaurant license. The application is complete. And it's all before you.
All
I don't know
right.
if you guys have any questions.
Lynette, I had asked, this application is, Jen always routes those to me for comment. And
Mhm.
I always look for a number of things, including whether the lease specifically authorizes the sale of alcohol beverages. And I asked that the lease be corrected to do so, and I see that it does. So that's, I wanted to thank the applicant for making that change.
Okay. Actually, why don't we go ahead and hear from Diane Menz at this time?
Okay, so I am Diane Menz. We've been running Mountain Mama's Needful Things for just over 2 years now. And we serve food, coffee, you know, we have coffee bar and everything, and have like a retail shop in there. And we have had a lot of our regular customers, you know, that are interested in having, you know, like being able to have like a glass of wine with their lunch, or some type of, you know, Bloody Mary or something for like a Sunday brunch, that type of thing. So we figured we'd kind of go slowly and just start off slow. We're not planning on being like a bar or anything like that. But just plan on having like beer, wine, and then like on Sundays, mimosas, that type of thing.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Jerry, your questions.
Yes, actually, Ms. Menz has covered it pretty well, but Ms. Menz, under the statute, it's important for the board to have some information in the record that establishes there's a need and desire for a new liquor license in the community. Sometimes that's satisfied in other jurisdictions by paying for a surveyor to go out and conduct a door-to-door, door-knock survey and ask people what they think about that. In a smaller community, it's acceptable to simply make that be a part of the record. And so you've indicated, I think, the reasons you want to be able to sell alcohol. Do you believe there's a need and desire for that based upon what you've heard from your customers and the community in general?
Yes, we have had several of our regulars, like I previously stated, that have, you know, commented that, you know, well, wouldn't it be nice if you had, you know, have a beer with this or a glass of wine or something like that. So, yeah, I think we've had quite a few people kind of pipe in on that.
Okay. Very good, especially given the sort of limited operation that's proposed. That's certainly sufficient evidence in the record for the board to make the finding that there's a need and desire and to have a basis for granting the liquor license. I'm sure there may be questions from the board members, but those are all the questions I have, and thanks for your indulgence.
Thank you.
Okay. And that leads me to open it up to questions from the board. Anybody have questions?
I had a couple of questions, and it might be more specific to the application process than specific to Diane. In driving by, I didn't notice any sign posted that we were having this liquor commission meeting. Are we supposed to post the property?
Excuse me. I did make a sign and it was posted for the proper amount of time, if not over. It was in her window and it was, yeah, it was definitely posted.
It was definitely there.
Okay, well, I just didn't see it when I guess went out of my way to look at it. And then why are we waiving the fee?
The state is waiving the fee.
Right.
The state waived the fee last year for liquor license applications until December 7th. And they helped her she put in her application early so she could have the fee waived. The town still charges.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a reason then that it's taken us a couple of months to get this in front of us as opposed to?
Well, there's a requirement from the state that we have to hold on to the application for 30 days before we can have a hearing. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. Did that answer all your questions, Mary?
Yep.
Wonderful. Anyone else have questions for the applicant? All right. Do we
The
need a
only thing I would
motion
say
to approve
is
the
that
liquor
I was
license?
one of those people that wish I could have had a drink with my sandwich.
Thank you,
I'm
Rob.
one of them.
Okay,
Or put something in those coffees too. That'd be another way.
Lisa's Rubens are
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yes. Imagine that with a beer or something.
yeah.
I have a sort of flagrant question.
Sure.
If you get the liquor license, will you make those frozen or freeze-dried candy things with like rum and kirschberry kinds of flavors?
Well, I would like to, alcohol doesn't really freeze dry very well.
It's the flavor.
Yeah, but actually you have a point there. I'll have to talk to you about that.
So, any other questions from the board? All right, do we need a motion to approve the liquor license?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the liquor license for Mountain Mamas LLC. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I really
Diane.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck.
Yep. Bye-bye. Thanks.
When do we celebrate?
As soon as we can. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Next, we have ordinance number 7, series 2021. This is first reading. It's regarding placing refuse in town containers.
Thanks, Lynette. This is second reading on this. Am I right? Second reading?
No, this is first.
First reading, sorry.
That's okay.
This is kind of a tune-up of the trash and littering sections of the code. And it has benefited from some language that Interim Administrator Steve provided to me. And so I incorporated into the existing code section, just kind of rewrote the whole code section so it's in clean language here. But hopefully it'll make it a little easier for the town to enforce this. It's primarily, obviously, aimed at dumping trash on public property and using public trash cans that the town maintains for regular household trash, as opposed to trash that's generated through the use of that park. You know, you go to a park for a picnic, and then you've got some trash resulting from that picnic. That's what the trash cans in the park are for. That's why they're there, and we want them to be used for that. But if you just don't want to deal with your trash pickup and not pay for it at home, you shouldn't be dragging it down to the town park. And while we have a section currently in the code on this subject, this is an improvement of that section.
Okay. All right. Any discussion from the board?
I have something.
Okay.
Do
Go
we
ahead,
need
Ian.
to specify, I'll call it remedies, fines or public service picking up trash, or, what can we do if we catch somebody?
Yes, there's a general penalty provision in the code for violation of any provision of the municipal code. And that's why we don't have to have individual penalty provisions hooked on every single, section, because of course there are hundreds of them throughout the code. So what typically all cities do is they have a general penalty section that says the authority of the municipal judge is up to X number of days in jail and Y number of dollars. And the municipal judge then has that authority to impose fines, et cetera, on a case-by-case basis. I know that the judges try to, where they can, use public service as a feature of sentencing. I'll tell you, in my experience over many years, that's difficult because if you're going to have somebody do volunteer work, then you've got to have somebody for them to check in with and to supervise and to check out with. And the cost of kind of staffing that can sometimes overcome the value in the community. But there is a general penalty section that would be relied on for any violations. I don't know if the marshal has a comment.
I kind of do. In preparation for this, I looked into the code. I think we need to revisit and probably update it. We're still at the maximum penalty of $1,000 listed in there. And that number has gone up over the past years. And attaching to that, we're going to have to revisit our municipal traffic fine schedules also. This might not be the place to bring that up since we're discussing this other item, but I was just going to throw that out. We do have to revisit that.
To bring that forward, there's a television on somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know who's got a TV on. Thanks, Marshall. Yeah, I'd be happy to bring forward an ordinance for that. That's a good catch. Regularly we get updates in terms of the fine authority. Although it's also true that it's very rare for the judges to need to go beyond $1,000, but they've got the ability to go to, I think, 25, 60 or whatever it is. There's an inflation technique in the statute now. And I'll kind of mine through the code and bring forward an ordinance that makes those general changes.
I was going to suggest before I saw that we do attach a minimum fine for this particular refreshing of this ordinance. It might be worthy of consideration. I don't have a strong opinion on how much, but it would help the courts give them some guidance.
That's occasionally done. I've seen that in the nuisance arena where the elected boards want to make sure there is a minimum fine and the fines aren't all waived, et cetera, by the judge. There's always that what I call natural tension, I guess, between the policy of the elected body and how the municipal judge then feels that his or her authority needs to get exercised in a given case. It's
very diplomatic way to put that.
It's not required. There in the nuisance arena, I have seen sort of first offense, this minimum fine, second offense, that minimum fine, so the judge can't just let it slide. Absolute pure policy call for the board if they want to add this. We're first reading here, so you can either direct that it be added here, direct that we think about it for next time, or say no, we're not interested at first reading. But it's a fair policy call for the board to make.
I'd certainly like to consider it if we can put it in, figure out a number and put it in for the next time.
Other board members, thoughts on this?
I think I'd like to go ahead and move forward like you're sort of planning on updating our fines and stuff, just generally. I don't have an opinion on a minimum fine.
You know what you can do is if you wanted to get creative, you could do a minimum fine like 100 hours of community service, and they've got to do it for the town of Georgetown.
And pick up garbage.
You can, although I mean, in all seriousness, Rob,
Seriously.
as I said earlier, the one thing I don't think that I would saddle the judge with or the town staff with would be a requirement that they have to administer a community service sentence, because you're adding a real job, you're adding a work to their workload, and it's difficult. It sounds good, and I know that we all want people to do more than just pay money and feel that they ought to give back to the community. The cost to the community to get them to give back sometimes exceeds, it's a real burden.
Good point.
We do have that somewhat recent, the courts, I think Judge Toussaint even came up and addressed it, that he's required to offer community service for at least in all the traffic arena. I think it extends to this. We've had community service done before. It's a chore. We have to make sure, and we do have SIRSA involved, that we put in place workman's comp type of policy. And we have to fill out some paperwork to accomplish that. But I would definitely see our judge pushing the community service.
And isn't that administered from the sheriff's department?
No, this would be the town itself. The
Got
sheriff's
it.
department does it outside of us.
Got it.
So did I understand you correctly, Randy? You said he offers that as an option, or he recommends, or that's the way he leans? I'm not really clear
Required to
on.
make it available
Okay,
is the best way to put
as
it.
an option. Okay,
We haven't had
which is
anybody
different.
take it up, except
Okay.
we've had one defendant take it up. It took her quite a while to accomplish the community service level that is needed. It's
Okay.
been done in very recent even, but most people don't jump on it.
Okay. That's how I thought you were stating it, and I guess because of the time involved, if you were to require it under all circumstances, I think it would become burdensome. But if you offer it as an option, then it's giving people a choice of paying the fine or putting in the time. And I like the fact that they've got those options, but I'd be hesitant to require it. So
I would almost say it was legislatively required that it's available, but
Sure.
it's not offered openly, but it is available. And
Okay.
we would not want to put it as part of the ordinance.
I'd like to hear from
courts.
I would like to hear from board members.
Sure.
Deanne's had her hand up. And so is
Right.
Mr. Barrows.
Getting
Rich
It's a
has.
policy question for the board, and the staff needs to hear from the board.
Sure. Okay. So, Rich, did you have
Yes.
a comment to
First
make?
of all, I hate that they use the word community service, because you're basically forcing people to do it, and community service is a different thing. But I've had to supervise people doing quote community service for about 35 years, and it's a pain in the rear end. You only have a few people that take it serious and do a good job, and I mean they need a lot of supervision if they're going to actually get the job done.
Sure.
That's my experience with it, and so I would be against having that as part of the ordinance. If people opt into it, they're probably more likely to treat it like true community service.
Okay. What do you feel about having some kind of minimum fine or fee?
Absolutely, there should be something that penalizes folks for using parks as dumping grounds.
Lynette, Deanne's hand was up a long time ago.
I just wanted to point out that Rich wanted to say something because he's been trying to talk for like half of this.
So, okay. Paul, what about you?
Well, if I understand correctly, I heard that there is a schedule out there that could be used. And Marshall wants to address it and update it. So can we kill two birds with one stone by doing it that way?
So,
No,
go ahead, Jerry.
the marshal's point was about the fine authority. He's had a couple points, but one was about the fine authority municipal judge generally. That's not a nuisance driven issue, and that tail shouldn't wag this ordinance dog tonight anyhow. I'm happy to create an ordinance that updates the municipal judge's general fine and imprisonment authority. But the judge never gets up to the max now. So we'll increase the max, but it probably won't get used that often. The other point that was made was that in traffic, judge is required to make community service an option. That's not required for your ordinance here. If you want to do it, that's great. And we should hear from you, and somebody should make a motion to approve this ordinance or to approve this ordinance with that amendment. The other thing that you need to tell us is, do you want this particular offense to have a minimum fine? Otherwise, if it doesn't, it's to the judge's discretion, just like every other of the dozens or probably hundreds of violations in the code. So I guess we need to hear from you on minimum fine, and we need to hear from you whether you want to affirmatively require the community service be an option that the judge must advance for this particular offense. We talk about traffic and the maximum fine authority for the judge at another time. So minimum fine, requiring community service as an option for this particular offense are the things we need to hear from you on. John has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Hey, Randy, how big a problem is this? Is this, like, are the people dumping huge amounts of trash, or is this just kind of a nuisance thing? And what does it cost to take care of that extra trash? Is it?
I get this more from Road and Bridge. In the downtown area, there are some apartments that either don't offer dumpsters or trash service, or the tenants just choose not to because it's not as convenient as walking out the front and just setting their trash in or next to one of the existing bear-proof trash cans. I guess Road and Bridge says it's a problem at the area of the park. I don't know anything about that. Comes more from Kevin and Scott having to empty it. It's always been a problem at the lake where travelers and such just use up the trash cans, but I don't think this is going to apply to that. That's not where we're really looking at that. We're looking more for household trash rather than people happening to come off the mountain from a weekend of camping and grab the closest receptacle. I don't have an idea of the cost. It's just a burden on the Road and Bridge and parks personnel who take care of the trash removal.
What's sort of a monetary deterrent would get this kind of thing done? I don't have a clue.
I didn't have a strong opinion. I thought, first offense, something like $100 in that range. And that's what I was looking for when I noticed the fine schedule issue is what our fines are for littering. And I wasn't coming up with it with the resource I had at the time. So it might be somewhere in our big blue book, but I'm not certain. And it's not something I've really dealt with.
Okay, thank you.
So did I hear from all of the board?
Lynette, I have a question.
Yes, Paul.
Well, I think when John was trying to bring it up, how big of a problem is this? And the other thing is, how does this get enforced? I mean, is there, I mean, I can see how if somebody's like downtown at the apartment, they're consistently putting their trash out, you probably know who it is. You can enforce it that way, but if somebody's just only putting trash in one of the parks or down by the lake, I mean, how does that get enforced? And is it going to solve the problem? If people don't even know that this ordinance exists, I mean, does it take a sign on the trash can or something like that? That
Yes, it
the
will.
fine is X amount. And then thirdly, which Mr. Barrows brought up, the whole community service thing, it is a real pain to manage because my son had to do it. And it's a real pain for people that are providing the community service. So he had to do some stuff at the library. So Libby had to find him some stuff to do. And I don't think, this just doesn't sound serious enough to enforce community service. And so that's just my opinion.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So let's rephrase. If we were to put a minimum fine on built into this ordinance, would $100 for the first offense and say $200 for second offense, and hopefully wouldn't have any beyond that, is that something that would be agreeable, or let's just go through, Rob? What do you think?
Maybe I'm a little heavy-handed. I had an idea for a penalty as being a lot like $1,000. If you really want to deter somebody from doing it, make the fine heavy. But nothing like a year in prison, nothing like that.
Okay, so you're talking minimum fine of $1,000?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
I got to object to that because a lot of the people that do it are pretty broke and are doing it because they can't really afford to hire, I don't know, Timberline or somebody to come around and pick up for them, and aren't finding their landlord providing for them. So, in the case of the apartments and stuff. So I think $1,000 is too high.
Do I hear 500?
Are we bidding? Do we need an auctioneer?
Well,
You want to make it significant. $100, even to somebody who can't afford it. Still, you want to make it heavy-handed so that they don't do it again.
Other opinions?
I think
I agree with
$100 and
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
Paul.
$1,000 is too
go
much.
ahead, Mary.
This
Mary.
is not a serious offense for $1,000.
Yeah.
I agree with Lynette, let's start at 100. And even if I could afford it, $100, that would piss me off. And if I was doing it and I got caught and I got fined $100, I'm going to change my attitude. But $1,000, that's just overkill. in my opinion.
Okay. I just wanted to see what you guys would think. That's all.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
we're the sounding board for these different ideas.
Right. No. Well, good. Yeah, you consider yourself, Paul, the among the rehabilitated. I mean.
Okay. Mary, you were going to say something?
though I don't disagree entirely with Selectman Connell, I think $100 and a $200 minimum for the first and second offense would be appropriate. I think if the fine is higher, that's going to open up the door for that person to say, I can't afford that fine. And then we're going into the community service option, et cetera, et cetera. Paul, I disagree with you. I think this is a serious issue throughout the town. And then we end up paying for it when our road and bridge people have to be called out to empty out some of the trash cans because someone else hasn't bothered to, you know, take care of their own household waste or whatever. So, you know, it falls on us, and you know, anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
Manette, if I could make a suggestion just for
Yes,
procedure to
please.
see what's going to pass and what isn't, and move. Remembering this is first reading, you get to talk about it all again in a few weeks.
Oh, yay.
And someone might want to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 7 on first reading with the requirement of a minimum fine for first offense at blank dollars and second offense at blank dollars, and see if they get a second and see what happens. And leave out the community service option unless someone wants to add it, but I'd add that by a separate amendatory motion. So that can see if it's got the right support. Otherwise it just gets too complex and we never get a decision.
Got it.
Somebody want to make a
Okay.
motion around that?
Yeah, I would make a motion with that, with $100 being the first offense and $200 being the second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 7, series 2021 on first reading with the additional provision for minimum fine of $100 for the first offense and $200 for the second offense. Any further discussion tonight? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have the budget adoption. We have three resolutions associated with this. The first one is resolution number 12 to adopt the 2022 budget. Second will be resolution number 13, which is the appropriation of funds. And then the third is resolution number 14, which is to certify the property tax mill levy with Clear Creek County. Mary Sims, would you like to start us off, or
Well,
you still
sure.
with us?
Yes.
Okay.
The copy of the budget that you have is the same as the copy plus graph that was at the public hearing, except for the property taxes, because we did get the final certification and it did change a little bit. Not a whole lot. And unfortunately, I don't have my old one here with me at home, but that was the only change. Everything else is what has been discussed over the past several months.
Okay. And the reason that that was just now added was because the commissioners, the county commissioners just certified it at their last meeting, which was last Tuesday. So. All right. And we did have a public hearing at our last meeting and had no comment from the public. So I think we can take that as a good on you. Everybody's on the right track. The town's doing well. Anybody have any questions or comments before we take a motion to approve these resolutions? Other than to express appreciation for her hard work. Mary did a great job on this.
Thank you.
And thanks, Steve, for your support. So. Okay, who would like, let's start off with resolution number 12, which is adoption of the 2022 budget. Who'd like to make the motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
I will second it. You want to read it in, Lynette?
Should I read
Okay.
it in?
Well, I can read it in. So it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 12, series of 2021, a resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund and adopting a budget for the town of Georgetown, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2022 and ending on the last day of December 2022. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I have to vote no because it has a section in about messing up Strauss Park.
Okay. Resolution number 13 is appropriation of funds. Any questions on that? Comments? Who'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 13?
I'll make that motion to approve resolution number 13, series of 2021. A resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amount and for the purposes as set forth below for the town of Georgetown, Colorado for the 2022 budget year.
Second.
Right
Been
on.
moved and it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 13, series 2021. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I have to vote no, just for the same reasons.
Excuse me, I have a question. Was that Mary who seconded? I couldn't
Yes.
tell.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Opposed to Mary Sims.
So, all right, and on to resolution number 14, certified property property tax mill levy with Clear Creek County. Who'd like to make the motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make the motion. The resolution number 14, series of 2021, a resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, levying property taxes and certifying the 2022 town mill levy to Clear Creek County to help defray the costs of the government for the 2022 budget year.
Second.
It's been
Go
moved
Mary.
and seconded. That was Mary Smith seconding it. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 14, series 2021. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I have to vote no again in case this would somehow pay for the destruction of Strauss Park.
That's not what this is.
I don't think it is either, but I just want to make sure.
All right. So staff items, the administrator's report. Steve?
Oh, I did put together a short report. I'll give you a little update. I think at today we've received 14 applicants interested in the position as far as requesting an application packet, and I think to date I've gotten back 6. So we'll see how it continues to go. But everything else is pretty self-evident. So unless anybody has any questions of me.
I would just like to ask you, Steve, if you could update us weekly as to just the when we get ready to have a board meeting, especially since we went that 3 weeks, between meetings this last time. I find this information very valuable. Otherwise, we seem to be in this void of town operations. The other thing on your task list, number 6, if we could add someone representing either parks and or business promotions, because there was such a issue over the decorations and everything with,
Okay. That's item 7, Mary.
oh, sorry, 7. Thank you. It's okay, I had circled something on number 6, but then I decided not to bring that one up.
Thank you.
Oh, shut up. You can't see me, I'm making faces.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
Anyway, just to add
Okay.
some, to add business promotions or the events marketing and manager person, whomever, with the whole decoration business, trying to lessen the workload on road and bridge of taking an inventory. I think someone else could, maybe that extra set of hands could help on that.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that for the future. The reason I only had it at that point is because Scott and I were trying to attribute what kind of time was put into putting up the decorations, going through them all, and taking them down, and then doing some comparative stuff similar to what Central City is as far as using a private vendor. So it wasn't ready live for prime time, but yeah, once we move forward with trying to discuss this a little bit more, obviously we're going to have a little more input, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay.
And as far as your first comment with trying to do weekly updates, it'd probably better just for me to update the task list and ship it all, or have Jen ship it all to you, to the extent I can get it done on a weekly basis.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Any other questions for Steve? Okay. Anybody have anything for the COVID update? I do not. So
I don't know if anybody knows this. The town of Empire's town hall got a case of rapid tests, and I believe you got to go to the county website, and they're free.
Oh,
I asked if it was just municipalities that were getting them, and she said, I think it's for individuals as well. We got 2, and
so
Did you say
did
that
we
was
get any
through the
account?
county?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you say that was through the county or?
I seem to remember her saying county, but if you don't find it there, check the state website. I know it's there, but I'm pretty sure she said county.
Okay. All right. Bighorn crossing issues. What have we got?
I believe Mary was going to speak to that. Mary Smith was going to speak to that. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
She stops coughing.
That's not me.
That's me. That's me. Sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
So I was asking Steve last week or early this week about us as a community. Either Martin or perhaps Jerry can give us some insight and dig back into some of the documents that were agreed upon between the town of Georgetown and the developers of Bighorn. I'm concerned, and I've had concern expressed to me with the construction fencing that's there, and there's no construction going on, with the piles of dirt that we all know are just going to add to problems or create more problems. When we get these high gusts of wind, it's unsightly. It's definitely not welcoming to Georgetown. I believe one of our attendees is one of our business people down at the lakeside. Craig Abrahamson should be in the audience if I'm reading this correctly on my list. I think he has some comments about the development and the lack of progress that's being made and what we can do to try to clean up that site in the meantime.
I'm trying to promote him so he can talk, and just give us
Okay.
a second.
I mean, some residents in the apartments have complained about the, just the overall look of the property. And so if we as the town can assert some authority and have the developer, pick up his end of the deal, I'd like us to take some action on that.
And I've successfully joined the meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Take it away, Craig. What can you jump in and help me out on here?
Please.
Thank you, Craig Abrahamson. I'm currently the CEO of Cabin Creek Brewing. And I live at 815 Main Street in Georgetown. And I think I safely speak for our neighbors at Cabin Creek, the Patels, in saying that the current state of the project adjacent to our businesses is a significant detraction to our investment at this point. Collectively, I think we've got about $10 million invested in the last 3 years down there. And the perpetual state of thinking about construction is obviously impacting the aesthetics of our business, makes an impression on our customer base, which we work very, very hard and spend a lot of money to try and attract, and generates a significant amount of new money for the town in the form of sales tax. The construction fencing is simply out of compliance with town ordinances insofar as it's beyond temporary at this point. It's been there for a couple of years, and at the very least does not comply with design review guidelines for a permanent fence. So if you're looking for justification, I'm sure Jerry can sink his teeth into a couple of these things. From a building code perspective, there's unsafe excavations that have been unattended for a significant period of time on the property adjacent to not only Cabin Creek and the microtel, but also the completed 11 units of townhomes that are along Bighorn Trail there. Wouldn't raise as an issue, except the number of times I've heard, oh yeah, they're going to do something this spring. Oh yeah, they've got an application in. Oh, it's gone on long enough that they need to reclaim the property. The berms themselves are not in compliance with the approved plans for the project. I won't get into how I know that. But just generally speaking, it's a horrible eyesore. It's a property that we have, as I've said, invested a tremendous amount of money in, not to mention our time. And it's about time the town, the famous they, but it really is time for the town to step up and either reclaim the property and allow it to, go through its natural course of permitting, or insist that, they actually move forward with the project. One of the two things. But it can't continue in its current state. I don't think there's anybody that would argue otherwise. But it's time for us to take the action that is afforded us by ordinance and code. So thank you very much for hearing me.
Okay, thank you. Mary, did you have more to add, or?
Well, so I
Yes,
really
Craig.
just wanted to bring this up and Craig certainly could more eloquently and articulately state to some of the violations, but I would like us, as a board to, direct our staff to take some action with this developer and get some activity going on over there. There's still construction debris in the empty space in between the apartments and what has been built. And, this goes back, we know we have people that try to use that area as for fishing, and we're not seeing the, the path along the lake like we anticipated. And that's just gonna, there's no reason for it to continue in the state that it's in. So I would just like us to try to take some action.
How does the rest of the board feel? Let's start with John.
Yeah, I think, I agree. I think the place is, looks really run down, and they've greatly exceeded their timeline. We need to know what they're going to do. They need to clean up the site. They need to maybe rebond, or we need to, say that they're not building there anymore.
Okay. Rob?
So I had the luxury of eavesdropping on DRC meetings because Susan does the minutes. Full disclosure. And the builder's got a new contractor. So what it is the old contractor that basically did everything different than what was presented to DRC. He's gone, and nobody can, he really can't own up to the consequences of them having to them having to go down and enforce this thing. Bob Hamilton, God bless him, is actually taking action and going around and actually visually looking and making sure that the things that they approved are putting in there. The parts that are right next to Clear Creek condos were vastly different than what was presented to the DRC, and the DRC doesn't have any teeth. So it's hard for them to go after these things. All they can do is point it out and hope that the contractors comply. And in my opinion, we ought to start all over again, because this contractor or this builder obviously hasn't owned up to what he originally promised.
Can I say something, guys?
Yes, Jen.
They just got approved for their foundation permit and paid for three foundation permits today.
Okay.
Just to give you an update, yeah. And they're moving forward. They have a new project manager, and like Rob was saying, well, and they've been to DRC to get their certificate of appropriateness to try to get it reactivated because it was expired for one set of the townhomes. So they are, I know we're all, well, whatever. Just know that, that's going on.
It's good to know
That's
that they
good.
are actively, yeah.
What you mean is if they've got a certificate of appropriateness, they can just go ahead and do exactly what they did before. Why are we letting that happen?
Okay, so you can't really hold feet to a fire and say you can't build because we don't trust that you're going to do what you're required to do. I think the better route to take is to make sure that they understand they will be scrutinized carefully. And when they vary from what was approved in the DRC, they'll need to fix it, not later, but sooner. I think you can't stop things from being built because you don't think they'll be built correctly, particularly if you've got a new contractor. I think it would be best if we had a very serious powwow before they get too far along and make sure that everybody's on the same page. So I think that is the best direction to staff. What does everybody think? Yes, Mary.
I'd like to hear what Jerry has to say as to what actions we might be able to take. And Jerry, I appreciate that off the top of your head, you haven't looked at these agreements recently. You may not be able to tell us tonight. However, I also don't think that because they have permits, and I'm fine with them continuing to build. We all want that subdivision finished, but the delays that have been in place for the last couple of years, I personally am not interested in waiting and seeing what they do. I think they need to take some action in cleaning up a lot of that area first, as well as continuing on with their construction. I don't want to wait until June or July and everything still looks the same because they've got 3 foundation permits to go with. So.
Okay.
You're muted.
I'm happy to answer, but I know Deanne's been patiently waiting. She's had her hand up.
Okay.
Who goes first?
I didn't see a hand up, so sorry. Go ahead, Deanne.
Is there a way to attach some sort of probationary thing to the permits now because they have established a history? So it just seems we should have a way to say, yeah, you have this permit, but only if this is met by this time and this is done and that's done. And it just seems like putting them on probation is a logical thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jerry.
We can consider that. There's probably 2 levels of enforcement activity that the town can engage in. One is, as Deanne points out, conditioning, building approvals. But you need to make certain that those conditions are very well related to an observed problem. And that's something I want to appreciate the idea, and I'd want to talk with staff about it. Primarily, I think probably it would be maybe a time condition on the construction rather than we'll give you the foundation permit for this thing here, but you've got to clean up that site over there. Would be, I think, too unrelated to the condition or to the approval. But having said that, the second arena that you have authority to enforce in is your Title 8. That's health and safety. That's your nuisance chapter, really, in the code. And in looking at it in the last few minutes, you've got nuisance, accumulation of unhealthy matter, storing and construction equipment, violating building or zoning code, storing materials, dangerous excavations. So there's a whole raft of just straight up municipal court charges that you can bring that address sort of the general state of a property. And I think that's maybe the more direct way to get at a general state of the property rather than the building approvals themselves. I get it that that's also in play, but I'd use that more in a more targeted way to simply accelerate the schedule for construction, or to make sure that it's not a construction that lingers and is half built. Those are the 2 general fields of enforcement authority that I can see are available here.
Okay.
I'm happy to sit down with the staff and try to match up the tools we have with the actual conditions out on the site that can be proven in a municipal court case.
Okay. Thanks very much. All right.
And I think I would preface those court actions, et cetera, with a letter to the developer that lists, because we always want that, no matter what you think. People, you give them the list, and that way they're informed ahead of time. You might not get full compliance just out of a list, but like anything else, you knock some of them off, then you don't have to worry about them, and you only have to enforce on other things. You've given them notice. That helps for the municipal court case too, that you've reached out and said, we sent a letter on this date, and met with them on this list. So I think they deserve a list, because the list in their minds may be different than the list, in our minds. And it's always well to start out with that. And I'd encourage that.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm all for starting nice. I'm not saying we take them to court right off the bat. They just need a good nudge and to take some action and to clean up their act, literally.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
John,
Yeah,
Any
so
more, any more comments? Go ahead, Jerry.
John has a hand up.
yeah, let's.
Where are we seeing these hands up?
I'm just
Sorry.
watching the screen.
I'm,
Your screen must
okay,
be.
everything's frozen on my screen, so that's
Yeah,
why I
that's
don't
the
see
problem,
anybody
yeah.
raising their hands. And
Yeah.
I've been looking for the literal hand in the corner, and so, okay.
Well, what I'd like to do is direct
Go
staff
ahead,
to
John.
investigate this and then pursue, whatever measures they can pursue with a nice letter first.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else that we haven't heard from? I think Rich is probably the only one we haven't heard from yet, or Deanne? Paul?
I agree with everything that's being said here. We're all on the same page, but I think Jerry pointed out some good tools that we have. And like Mary said, they need a nudge. And so, and John wants the staff to pursue that. I agree 100%. Because the face of Georgetown to people on I-70 or the frontage road is Bighorn, and it's a mess.
Okay, thanks. Rich or Deanne?
I agree with Paul and John and Rob and everybody that's said anything so far.
Okay.
We need to do something on it. And it needs to be real nice and clear, written out on both sides parts, so there's no
Okay.
question. And then
Okay.
if they default again, we nail them.
Okay.
Ned, I don't know if you know this, but Rich had to go. It was an
Yeah,
emergency.
I was gonna say,
Oh, I only get nine little screens on my one screen, so, okay. Cool. All right, so Steve, is that enough direction?
yeah, no, I think we're on the same page. And that's why I wanted Mary to bring it up. I just, I didn't want us to go a different direction than what the board felt. And I didn't think we were going to, but I just
Sure.
wanted the reaffirmation. I think Jerry did too. I mean, this is not the first time that Jerry and I've had this discussion. We just haven't really landed on what we want to approach. And I will say that from DRC's perspective, they've been pretty tough on the new guy. And he's been cooperative, but they've been pretty tough on him. And I think that they're willing to take an additional step, which I haven't outlined to Jerry yet, with regard to the enforcement, at least of the certificate of appropriateness. So
Okay.
I'll be laying that out for him sometime, hopefully this week or next.
Okay.
Actually,
Wonderful.
Joan Eaton really ought to be heralded. She stepped up and really kind of did lean into this contractor.
She did. She was real
Okay.
adamant. And I was actually surprised as staff that they took that extra step. And, they went back to their original design from that COA back in 2017 or 18, which was what they should have done. But the bad thing is they'd already submitted plans for the other design that they had proposed. And so they laid it on the line and said, hey, we don't trust you. We want to see exactly what it is you're going to propose in every stage. And so
Right.
I applaud, as Rob said, I applaud the DRC. They're holding their feet to the fire. And I think it's their angst, just like the Board of Selectmen's angst, that what's happened and what hasn't happened.
Right. Okay. So if we're good on that, let's go on to some of the road and bridge issues that Rob raised. So is there a plan? Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say on the logos, rather than doing the magnetic, it's probably as cheap or quick as easy to get the regular logos and put them on. They last a little bit longer. So we'll have a staff meeting on Tuesday. Let me bring that up and see if they've got a ready source for them, and we'll get them done if that's okay with you guys. And I agree. I'm sorry. I'm a stickler. I believe all city vehicles should be marked as such.
Identified. Yep.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was a waste of time or if it should be enforced. Thanks.
No, I got no problem with it, Rob.
Okay. sounds good. And then, do you want to also then, Steve, discuss with staff what can be changed maybe with the new building and,
Yeah, I'll look
to-
into that.
Yeah.
Mary and I have been texting back and forth. There is a provision in the code where a septic system can be put in and allowed. Absence of the provision of water, but it has to be a 4-acre plus property, which she gave me the square footage and it's only half of that. So, you know, that may be the reason why there aren't facilities up there, is because there was no way legally to do it. But
Right.
again, that's something I think we'll talk about as staff. And if there's an opportunity with the new building, then I think we should avail ourselves of it. You know, porta potties are wonderful, but they're also, yeah, that's not a way to treat our employees for a long-term basis.
I agree.
okay. Anyone else have anything to bring up tonight?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. It is 7:20 PM. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you all so much. It was a good meeting.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night, everybody.
Jennifer, are you still listening?